Hello everyone, Krydax here, and welcome back to Factorio pyanodon's Season 3. I am really excited to keep working on this thing. I was even thinking about it last night. I was like, oh man, how do I do this? So, one thing that we were noticing as a problem is that the pass-through signal needs to subtract whatever this block is making before it gets passed through. Rather than just sharing the signal across all of them. Because here's the problem. Let's say my system realizes I need one of something, and then it passes that signal across all of, let's say these were all in parallel, and they were all hooked up to the wish list. That's what I'm calling the list of things my base wants me to make. That's called the wish list. So if the wish list gets passed to all of them in parallel, then they're all going to take a random thing from the wish list to make, which is fine. But the problem is, what if I need one thing and I have 10 blocks? Now I'm going to make 10 of that thing, because they're all going to receive the wish list on the same tick, right? And there's no way to prevent that from happening unless I have some sort of override signal that cancels random ones, or I have some sort of modulus, like where the wish list is being passed to all of them, but each one is like multiplying the wish list by, some modulo thing so that they don't all go on the same tick, but then I need a timer signal. So there are options like that, right? Each one, like I could have a timer that cycles through, let's just say there's 10 blocks. It could cycle a green checkmark signal 1 through 10, and each one of these could be specified to only pass a signal through when it's on 3, and then this one would only pass a signal through when it's on 4. The problem with that is then I would need to subtract out within 1 tick, which wouldn't be possible. So I guess I'd need a delay by like 4 or 5 ticks each, so that there's time to subtract that one off of the main route once this one takes it. Anyway, I don't think I'm going with that route. Instead, we're going with the subtract from it and then pass it through to the next. So we will take one down and pass it around. 99 bottles of steam engine on the wall. So that's what we're going for. And I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. So the random idea is working fine. Okay, let's not worry about how to subtract it quite yet. Let's start with getting a random signal locked in until we get a cancel signal. So if anything's greater than 0, and the green check mark, then yeah, I just don't think this is gonna work, because we found out last time that it updates the anything into a new signal, unfortunately. Because right now this one's false and only this one is true. When I... oh good, I can do this like that. So when I make that one true... wait, then it's doing the green signal. Yeah, but it still switches. So this... that shouldn't do anything. Oh my god, it does? Whoa, that shouldn't matter. No way, it does? This filter counts for both of these. The way that it's listed next to input count, I thought this filter would only matter if it was next to... oh wow, I thought about pressing it, but I was like, no, it wouldn't do anything. I even thought about it last episode. So if we check, if we uncheck the red... oh, interesting. But we need the red but then it needs to only do the green. It's kind of funny. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Okay. I was wondering if we could somehow separate out which one's which based on how many there are, but it still changes one. There were 3 mining drills and then it switched into 2-1, so there's just no way to know which one was the original, unfortunately. I just don't know if there's a way to do this with one combinator. I think I'm trying to do it with one combinator and it's not gonna work. So I think we just take our lumps and change it to 2 combinators. So then, so we do a random input, and then we take the reset signal 0 and that's it. And so then it passes through a signal to then a looper that is just a memory cell that says if anything's greater than 0. This feels so unnecessary. It's almost like 2 of the same combinator in a row. Wait. It is 2 of the same combinator in a row. No. As soon as this one, it outputs a green signal, and we need green to be 0. So this will only pass when we're not looping. And then as soon as this one starts looping, green means where the memory cell's on. It needs to pass. Uh-oh. I think I can do this. It needs to pass the green back. And then I guess the reset signal is really gonna just be a green signal. And when that gets passed to the beginning, oh, I guess that needs to be -1. Why is that flipping back and forth? Anything's greater than 0, output. Oh, it needs to be non-green. And green is 1. Oh gosh. Oh, I guess we need anything on red to be greater than 0. Now I've done it. What am I doing? Ah, it's too much chaos. Okay, we need a new plan. How do I do a normal memory cell? It's just this whole anything business that's really screwing me up. Anything is greater than 0. Output 1 of anything. I kind of want it to be a one tick thing. So let's just restart. I feel like my brain's kind of lost. So we want to output one of the thing, and then I want to stop outputting. So we need to have a prime signal. So we're ready. This is equal to 1. I'm just going to start here. So this is saying we're ready to receive a signal. Then as soon as that happens, you output one of it and you stop. So we'll just have this equaling 1 and it's turned on. And oh, but anything is greater than 0. Okay, so we need these to be like -1. I think that will help a little bit. So that way negatives aren't, because we're never going to request negative amounts of buildings. At least that's the hope. So the check signal's -1. And that's 0. So that means we're primed and ready to go. And then as soon as that happens, we start outputting to itself. On the green. Oh, you can't tell it which channel it outputs on. That, I guess that's one thing lacking from combinators, is certain outputs could go on red channel only, certain outputs could go on green channel only. Wait, is that, hold on. Is that how it works? How the heck does this work? Hold on. No, the output signal's just what it is. You can't tell it which... Or can you? Now I've gotten confused. I need a new situation. Equals 0, output... Hold the phone. Yeah, that's for input. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing something there. Okay, anyway, okay, so this guy is saying... let me unhook this. So this guy's saying when you're ready to go, because you've got a green check mark on red, -1, then output anything. The problem is the green check mark is also anything. Hopefully that is like sorted at the end of signals. I don't know where it lands in the sorting. Like if I had crystal mine, which is a later thing, is that gonna cause problems? No, it seems to see it properly. Oh, because green checkmark's not greater than 0. That's why it's working. Why am I calling it green checkmark? It's called check signal. Whoa. Okay, so how do we stop this? Because it cancels out the green. But as soon as it cancels out the green, it's no longer outputting the green. So we need an OR. This equals 0. So it'll maintain, but then it still switches is the problem. It switches this based on the input. It doesn't lock it in. It's not a memory cell for the first thing that it saw. How do we do this? Maybe, you know what? I think I know how to do it with 2 combinators. And for now, I will definitely work on reducing total number of combinators later, but I think I want to get a working product first. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass this through, and we're going to say, we're going to do each times check signal. So each on red times check signal on green, let's say. So only when the check signal is 1 will it actually output anything. And so then this will loop. And it will set the check signal to 1, which will also loop. And it'll only start when the check signal is 0. Wait, no. The check signal needs to start out being 1. And then the loop gets broken when anything... So when the check signal's 1... anything is greater than 0. Ugh. Anything on red... check signal's 1... then it will break it, so it'll output check signal being -1. So that will say we're no longer ready to receive new stuff. So when it's... we need a baseline of 1. Okay, we're getting there. So there's a baseline of 1. But then the check signal... See, the problem is it sees anything greater than 0 and the check signal... Ah. You'd think this would be so much easier to just pick a random signal and put it in a memory cell. You would think. One would think that this would be a lot easier, and it probably is. The actual solution is probably like 2 combinators with some fancy logic here. But I cannot figure this out. Okay, let's just start fresh like this. So this is our wish list being passed, and then the random one is passed in via red. This is just a combinator that we might need for each block, and it's gonna say, hey, we're ready to go. Checkmark is 1. So we multiply the red on that times the green on this. And that actually outputs a random signal, but only while green is... the green check mark is 1. So as soon as we get a new signal, we need a looper, which will take each signal we get out from here and multiply it by 1. No. I think this probably needs to be a decider. So the decider says if anything is greater than 0, If anything on green, well, we'll say green is like the check signal and internal signal. Red is like the actual item signal. So if that's greater than 0, then you keep outputting that thing, and you output -1 check mark. Oop. And then that -1 check mark will go to there, which then makes that 0, which then stops the multiplication, because this also needs to connect back to itself on the red channel. There, I think it finally worked. The input signal is changing here, and this is finally outputting a solid loop. Okay, we got there. And then if we... Does that even reset it? It does. Hey, we did it! Okay. And it seems to be picking one at random, and then it's sticking with it. Gosh, why was that so hard? I think the key here was looping back to itself on red and not green. Because that doesn't touch this one. This one's just output on red. Okay, so that's picking a random signal. Doing that. And then this one is just maintaining. I could probably ditch this. I'm not going to deal with that right now, though. And then when the recipe's finished, is a signal of 1 more going to reset it? Oh, God. So now we need a filter. Goodness. For when it finishes crafting. And this just needs to look for the control signal. Finished crafting. What symbol should we use for that? Maybe the, like... I use flag. It's like a finish line. The finish line. Flag greater than 0, output 1 flag. Is there another way to do a pass-through of a single... Like, we only want to pass through a single signal. It's just like I'm filtering the signal list. Because the signal list from this is going to be messy because we're reading the ingredients. And we're setting the recipe, so there's all sorts of crap. So we just want to pass through only the flag signal. And then... Or no, when we see the flag signal, we want to add 1 to the check mark, which should reset this for a moment. I think. So... I actually want to do that. And then I think that will reset it. If we emulate the flag signal. Does that reset crystal mine? Yeah, I think that. No, it doesn't seem to reset it. Because we need to do each times. Oh, but it's maintaining because the green signal also has the mining drill on it. Shoot. So it keeps seeing the mining drill that it remembers. Oh my gosh, there's so many little problems. I don't want to pass the mining drill signal back to the beginning. I just want to pass the green checkmark signal back to the beginning. I need a third color of wire for this. Shoot, we were so close. Okay, so this is brain melting, isn't it? I love it. I hope you guys are enjoying this episode. I know I love this stuff, but I've gotten some comments that you guys say you love it. So some of you love it, some of you might hate it, but you can skip it if you hate it. So that's the beauty of YouTube. So what are we doing? For now, I'm going to use more combinators, not less. So another way I could solve this is to pass... Why don't I do a decider here instead of a constant that says... Like, this will output the green checkmark signal to this one. If this one has an output. So literally if anything is greater than 0, then stop outputting the check mark. Which would be a -1. Wow, this is so tricky. I feel like I'm going about this the totally wrong way. I feel like I'm going about this the totally wrong way. I just want to pick a signal and then keep it until I send a reset signal. But it has to be any signal. Goodness. I guess I could negate the signal to try to delete it. Does that work? Like when I get a reset signal? Okay, let's restart here. How many times am I gonna say that in this episode? Oh my gosh, this is so crazy. You'd think this would be so simple. Why am I not finding this so simple? Random input. That gets selected. Multiply it by the checkmark signal. Then this one sees the input and starts looping it to itself. So that's why red is connected to red there. So as soon as it sees the input, it keeps looping it. And then it also outputs something on green, which is going to be a check mark. The problem is if I link that to there, isn't this what I had before? And then I also had a constant combinator on green. The problem is this is also outputting the recipe we want on green. So it's not filtering out. Like, I only want the check mark to go onto the green channel, and it's not doing that. So what we might need to do then is have a decider that only passes through the green signal. So we say if check mark less than 0, output check mark -1. Like, I don't know how else to pass through only the signal I want. And then this has a check mark signal of 1. And so then the reset is gonna come by does that reset it? Seemingly. Okay, now we might have finally figured it out. It's holding on to one symbol. Okay, I mean, there's probably still issues with this, but it seems to be working. Okay, and then when we finish, then we add another one back on. So then that doesn't seem to be doing it. We need to subtract one. Oh, this is what has to change. Then that will reset the whole memory cell? Yes. I can't know for sure if one tick is going to do it, but I think it will. So then when that finishes, it sends the flag signal for one tick. This triggers the reset. And I think so I think that's it. I can probably make this work without the constant combinator, I would guess. And I may need YouTube comments to help me. If this ends up working with everything else, maybe we can figure out how to do it without the constant combinator. Okay, then we need to set the recipe. So then we can attach that to the red loop. That sets the recipe. Then it reads the ingredients, which then need to be passed to you to set requests. And notice on the green signal, thankfully, I guess now we have to make sure that it doesn't somehow set the requests to crazy things. Oh no, it's not resetting. Shoot. Yeah, that's what I was worried about. Okay, well, I just think that means we need to change this one to green. Why is it not resetting? I don't know. To reset, So this needs to not have an output if... If what? I don't know. And what? And green check mark equals 1. Yeah, I figured that would make an issue. Equals 0 equals -1. I don't know if that does it. It just will end up with the same problem, I think. Wait, no, now we're okay, because we're not getting the... I think we're okay now. Does it switch? Seems like it's switching. Sometimes it's seeing 2 signals. That's what I'm confused about. How is it getting both signals? It should only ever get the 1. Because it's looping back in on itself. So it keeps seeing the mining drill. Wait, how is this breaking? If anything's greater than 0 on red. This green wire is doing nothing right now. Wait, no, that green wire was... What is going on? It's outputting crystal mine of 1. How is that not sustaining itself, actually? Now I'm kind of worried. How do I not understand what's going on here? If anything's greater than 0, it outputs 1 of that thing, which should maintain itself forever, no matter what other input signals there are, unless we negate it, which we're not. This red wire is only connected to the output of this. Oh, is that Oh, it's when it multiplies by a check mark of -1 that then it happens to reverse the input, and that 0, that turns it negative. That's not how we want that to be working, actually. Okay. Now we see the crux of the problem. Okay, and we want check mark to be -1. Or so that helps sustain the loop. Be less than 0. We're at the same problem again. So anything greater than 0. I mean, do we need a third signal? I might need a third signal. I need the maintain loop, and then I need the fresh start, you know, reset button. But we already tried that, and that didn't seem to work because the anything that it was receiving screwed up. But once we're maintaining the loop, we want to stop multiplying that by something. That's the whole idea. And then the reset button. So once we're maintaining the loop, we're also passing through the -1 so that that's no longer okay, so that works. So then, or anything greater than 0 and when anything is greater than 0, and let's just say some pink signal is 0. And then this will loop a pink signal onto itself. So that will only be true for one tick, and then it will be this one that's true. Okay, I don't know if this is going to help us at all. Because now this one is true forever again, until we add one to the green checkmark input, which will never happen. Because that's a constant of 1. And that needs to output a +1 to this. So then when the flag symbol happens, we add a green check mark, which then nukes this for a brief moment. Wait, what's happening? Why is this not sustaining itself? Because anything's greater than 0 and checkmark's negative, and it's outputting a negative checkmark. It should be in that loop. Does it need to be -1 again? That didn't fix it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the checkmark signal is -1, but then when we zero it out, that should reset. And then it locks in once the flag signal's off. Okay, I think we managed to do it. It seems to be locking into a random one. Okay, wow, good gravy. And this is properly setting the recipe. And then we'll send the ingredients on the red signal from that. Oh my god. This is nuts. Wow. Now what keeps the ingredients from setting the recipe? The ingredients are sent on red. It's such a weird concept. Like, what are these buildings are canceling out signals inside of themselves, and it's really weird, right? Because it's like it's receiving these signals, but it's also sending the signals. So the signals that it's sending, it's not going to count as receiving. Outputs the ingredients, but it's not going to count those as the things that are set. So this building is ignoring the 1053 because those are the ingredients. So it's only seeing the one minor, the -1 pink, and the check mark, and it's seeing nothing on the red network. I'm pretty sure that's how it works as far as like the set and read. They really needed to add green and red, buttons for that, because I think there are a bunch of times where that would be necessary. But anyway, we're setting the ingredients. Those will get requested. We want to trash unrequested. We will feed the ingredients in. We will feed the output to an active provider chest, which I have not crafted. I'm almost like stressed, like in a good way, but like, oh my gosh, my heart's like pounding faster than it normally is playing Factorio. Okay, we are doing channel 1 for this, so those would be on channel 1. And that's requesting the ingredients for the mining drill. There's a couple problems here, like it's gonna request the ingredients twice. I don't love that. There might be a sort of way to fix it. It's gonna cause a lot of bot inefficiencies because it's gonna keep requesting the ingredients even when we have enough. So we could read the ingredients and pass them through a combinator that like subtracts the contents. But then the contents are going to become the request, right? So like we get into a whole mess with that. You can't really read ingredients and read contents, because then it's just going to double up and there's no way to sort them out. So all you can really do is request the ingredients, and then it's going to fill the building with those, and then it's going to have a bunch of extra items that we didn't want. And those will all get thrown into an active provider chest, and then all the other requested ingredients will get trashed too. So it's very inefficient, because it's going to request too many ingredients. Is there a way we can do that better? I guess if it's working, it could stop requesting the ingredients. That would slightly help. Okay, so the working signal is gonna be... I don't even know. The working signal is... I'm surprised there's not like some sort of assembler signal. I don't know, the clock feels like kind of a good working signal. So then I could like multiply... I don't even know what I'm doing, y'all. What if I like multiplied... So we're connecting on red. So I could take all the signals. What's the working signal is 1. So we need to like... Oh my gosh, this is so tricky. So it outputs... We want it to stop working. Modulo. XOR. What if we did each XOR with clock? Is that gonna work? Did Krydex just do a thing with something fancy like XOR and it's actually gonna work? Let's find out. No, Krydex did not. Krydex does not understand XOR. Thought that would work. Well, wait a sec. What? It's adding 1 to the iron, but it's subtracting 1 from the other 2? I assumed it would, like, say... Well... Like, if one of these is true... At least in a binary sense, we either want to output this one or only that one. But that doesn't really... I have no idea how this actually works with all the, like, each stuff. Like, why does that not work with iron plates? What? This is really weird to me. Why does that give me... What does and even do here? 1 and 10, shouldn't that make 11? Or both of them are true because their number is greater than 0? Like, if we're thinking true-false terms, iron plate would be true, clock would be true, so it should output iron plate. Why is 10 being evaluated as false? And 5 and 3 are being evaluated as true. That's what I don't understand here. Is 10... Is it even and odd? Are even numbers evaluated as false? And odd numbers are evaluated as true? Like, I don't understand the and, or, and XOR in the context of numbers that are not just true and false. Maybe that's what it is. Either or... XOR is exclusive or, is the way it's said. And that would be like, it's false if both are true. Which in this case, both are true. So it should evaluate to false for small parts, but it's outputting 4 small parts. And in this case, clock is true, iron plate's false. So that's a true statement. So it adds 1 to iron plate rather than outputting 1 iron plate. But with the and... it's like 1 and 5, a true 5 versus a false 10. This is so weird. I'm guessing there's some sort of fancy business we could get up to with this. There's bit shift, which is intriguing, but I don't think it's going to do what we want. Which is like doubling or having something. Power, modulo. Wait, why is modulo deleting it? Oh. You know, that's interesting. Problem is modulo 0 doesn't do anything either. But modulo 1 is a good way to like delete signals. I hadn't thought about that before. But it's like, what's the remainder when you divide by 1? Well, there is never a remainder when you divide by 1 because there's no decimal signals. So because of that, this is a way to nuke signals by using a positive signal. But the problem is it doesn't pass them through with a 0 signal, which is what we want. So we could do times, you know, if we multiplied the clock signal by a bunch, we could subtract the clock signal. But the problem is the clock signal is only 1, and I can't set it to do 10 million as the output. So that won't work. I can't divide by the clock signal, because then that does the opposite of what we want. And I can't multiply by the clock signal. Same thing. We want it to turn to 0 when it's 1 and be 1 when it's 0. And there's just no way to do that, I think, without another combinator. Maybe 2. Ugh. Good gracious. Do I care that much? I mean, this is what I'm doing now is just the idea of wanting to make it so that it stops requesting. Once this starts crafting, we actually ditch all of the ingredients and we stuff them back in the active provider chest and we trash unrequested from the requester chest and it stops requesting them. Because otherwise it's going to keep requesting more. The insertion limit is also going to keep allowing more to get placed in here, which is going to be bad, and it'll just keep requesting and it'll keep running until the recipe gets reset when it finishes crafting, at which point anything could happen. So I think I'd prefer, well, and it'll start crafting a second one actually if it has enough ingredients. Interesting. We don't want that to happen. Man. Okay, so I actually think it pulls double duty then if we decider on, what is it, the green channel? Wait, what channel was I passing to the requester chest? What is this? Oh, it was the red. Okay, so the red. So then we say clock. If clock is 0, output everything. Or we don't, this is not an if else. Ugh. Sometimes I hate these things. If clock equals 1. Well, no, this just works, right? Because then as soon as clock does equal 1, it will stop outputting everything. Yeah, no. I think this does what we want, right? This does what we want. When the clock strikes 12, the mice go back to being mice. Okay, perfect. So the clock turns on, stops outputting things. The clock is off, aka the building's not running. It is outputting those things. And those things, what do those do? Well, those things set the filters so that this is only enabled if the building's not running. This inserter will stop working the moment the building starts running. Now, the automated insertion limits, unfortunately, are still going to allow it to insert too many things, but this will at least keep it, it'll stop it. The inserter will stop once the building starts running. And then the requester will stop once the building starts running. And then it will not be wanting those things anymore. Now, as soon as the building is done, it's going to send a flag signal. There will be a brief moment where now the requester chest will start requesting again before the reset signal kind of goes through. So that will be interesting to see how that plays out. And then everything gets output into an active provider chest. Okay. This is maybe a functional building block for our bot mall. I don't need that, and I technically don't need this to be linked by a power pole. I really don't know what I'm doing. That much should be obvious. That being said, I think this might work. And it's at least something. The final step, which we still haven't quite solved, is to subtract from the wish list what we're making and then pass it on. Right? That's the real problem here. We got 1 step, 2. It's going to be a 2-tick process. But we're not delaying the wish list by 2, but we're not passing the wish list through. I mean, it feels weird, but the wish list is just going to, like, we have to subtract before we pass it on. There's no way to tell a signal to wait for 2 ticks. Okay, so we need a decider. This, what's the output of this? Green. And what's the red output? Okay, I can use the red output. So that only outputs things greater than 0. And it outputs -1 of them. So that will then subtract off from the wish list whatever item we've got. So you can see there the wish list. The remaining wish list. But the problem is, if we just pass it through, it'll happen too fast. So it's almost like we need the pass-through signal. Oh my god, what are we doing? What are we doing, guys? What are we doing? So it's almost like we need the, hey, we're ready to send. I'm running out of things. It's like we need each times that output each, and we only output that signal when we're ready to go. Then now we pass through. But for a couple ticks, this won't have anything greater than 0. Is that even true though? Like when we do the reset signal, is there a couple ticks where that's not true? Where's my combinator? Constant combinator. I've gone blind. Where? Okay. My brain is deep in the tank. Very, very deep. Okay. So, like, for a brief moment... Uh-oh. Well, I wish we could go tick by tick. We actually can. Hold on. I like to save before I do stuff like this, just in case. But if we go to settings, mod settings... and then turn off the testing lab for editor extensions. We can go into the editor and pause the game. And then we can do this one tick at a time. So one tick later... Oh god. Oh no. There was a tick where it was doubled. Did you guys see that? Oh, that's because I left this on. That's never going to be on. Okay. So it's going to be off. Or it's going to be on for one tick. Then it's going to be off again. Oh, shoot. We still had that problem. So one tick. Advance, off one tick. It sees the signal. That time it didn't happen. How's the check mark? How's the right symbol being 2? How does that even work? Wait a second. That should never be possible. Wait a second. That's literally not possible. Unless it's feeding into itself. Oh my god. The checkmark signal got passed through somehow as a random input. Oh, well we can fix that by changing this to a red arrow. Okay. I think we fixed that problem. Now, let's see if we did. Here, let's advance a few ticks here. Okay, let's keep an eye on it this time. All right. It would only be the red signal multiplied by the arrow. There we go. Okay. So that goes for 1 tick. Turn it off. Advance, advance, advance. Output signal disappears. It reappears. No, it doubles again. How? What? What is happening? What? How is it getting right arrow 4? The input signal of right arrow is 1. I guess we're 1 tick too late. These are the input signals now. It was the input signals on the previous tick that created these output signals. Okay, hold on. Uh-oh, now it's just at 20. No, see, we do need the green to be attached here. This is the problem. Because we need the -1 item to be added to that, and then the right arrow needs to be a separate symbol. But then that becomes a random input that then heads into that. Oh, God. So we need to only output. Goodness, I mean, like, are you serious right now? Like, do we really need 2 combinators here, and we need to split up? I think this is actually what we need. I think what we need is 1 for each, which feels ridiculous. But that way we can split up the signal that's supposed to get added into the wish list, which is the -1 of each, and then the symbol that does not get added into the wish list, which is the arrow symbol. And I don't think there's a way to do that without having 2 combinators in parallel. Okay, let's get everything settled down here. Then we do a finished symbol for 1 tick. Turn it off. Oh my God, it keeps doing that. How are we getting a signal of 2? Like, how is this happening? Okay, we gotta slow it down again. Okay. 1 tick. Do this. Let's watch carefully. Okay, currently we have no green check mark. We're waiting for a green check mark, which I think just happened. There's the green check mark. So on the next signal, this will output those. And then now that it's outputting those, we should send a green, or we should send an arrow and a -1 on the next tick. These don't have outputs right now. They're about to. Boom. Now they have output signals. So now it should be multiplying. This one on the next tick will output the correct the new wish list. What I'm confused about this is gonna be a problem, isn't it? Well, maybe it'll work. It's only outputting the wish list as long as this is wishing for something. That could be a problem. We'll see if that's a problem later. But how is this getting to 2? When did that arrow... How did that arrow get to 2? How? Does anybody understand this? There's no other output. How is the output signal 2? How is this ever outputting 2 arrow symbols? Oh, it's for each thing that's greater than 0. Oh, we need anything greater than 0. I'm just a dummy. It outputs one symbol for each thing that's greater than 0. That's what's been happening. Okay. One more try. Do that, tick, do that. Tick, 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 tick. Tick, 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 tick. There is a little bit of weirdness. There is a moment where the output signal... Uh-oh. Now it's just not working. Oh, I'm sorry, it is working. It's a crystal mine. I was looking for 19. Now I see it did a little blippy blip. What was that? What was that blippy blip? Okay. So right now it's resetting. It sees that we've decided to build a mining drill. It outputs one less mining drill, same amount of crystal mine. But then what's this? Why is there one less crystal mine all of a sudden? For a moment. Because this one got a crystal mine signal? When did you get a crystal mine signal? How did you get a crystal mine signal? Then it's got, so when it's getting the first crystal mine signal, it outputs the crystal mine signal back into itself, plus the purple and the checkmark signal. So then on the next tick, that's where it could have switched. I think we've got a pretty good chance then where it does switch. If I have 5 different items on the wish list, there's only a 20% chance that it doesn't change. See right here it changes because crystal mine comes first. Because the selector combinator picked a different. Can I do 1? And then will it take 2 ticks? Will that fix the problem? Maybe. Wait, what am I doing? Select this one. Or no, sorry, we're looking at this one. Okay, that seemed to work. Uh-oh, no, it still did a switcherino. Well, we probably need to call it an episode soon, just because this one's getting so long, but I'm having a lot of fun with this. Believe it or not. My brain is like, I just, you know, in the cartoons where like smoke is coming out of people's ears, that's kind of how I feel. But it's like a lot of fun for me right now. But I can't say I understand exactly what we're doing. But yeah, the problem is it's doing this switcherino thing. Because the problem is the tick mark isn't getting back to this one until 1 tick too late. Maybe if we slow that down another tick, it'll work. So it's on that. It needs to stay on that for a couple ticks, right? And by the time it switches... No, it's still doing weird crap. Well, let's see. Here, let's watch the... I wasn't watching the right thing. Let's watch if the output signal ever changes, like mid-output. Okay, that one it didn't. It needs to start with the regular mining drill and then switch to the crystal. Oh, it didn't switch that time. Maybe we fixed it? Doesn't seem like it's doing the switcherino, so is this solved then? No, it did the switcherino again. Why did I have a -1? Well, I'm okay with that because if any, it's not advertising too high of a number, it's advertising too low of a number for 1 tick, which means everything should be okay. So then that's the signal we then pass to the next. So we do this again, and we pass that signal to the next wish list, which will be on green. And then we chain those together, and that's gonna be a bot mall. Will it actually work? I don't know. We'll test it in the next episode. It's something. It's certainly something, but I'm excited to keep refining this. I'm sure we can make it better. We're not gonna need that in the finished product. This is certainly not good. And we could have, there are a lot of other ways we could have done this. You know, some of you might be like, why didn't you just set all the buildings in parallel? And like we said, that would work. We would just end up, if I have X buildings, we would end up with potentially, you know, X extra. So if I had 10 things trying to make stuff in the bot mall, we would potentially end up with 9 extra buildings that we didn't actually want. Now I could have a system that then like cancels recipes one by one on a timer, but then at that point, why not just set it up this way? So I think more or less this is the system I want to go with. In spirit, there might be some tweaks over time. I'm not even sure if this is going to work. There's like a 30% chance it works. If I was putting money on it, I would do 30% odds that it works, and about 70 that there's something wrong that will take another entire episode to fix. But we are going to call it an episode for now. We'll be testing this in the next one. So as always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next one.